Hello and welcome. You made it to the second video. Well done, and congrats to you for this commitment to working on stress eating and overcoming some of these challenges and learning new skills. So congrats, welcome, thank you for being here. So in the second video, what I want to talk to you about is a really cool strategy to help stop the ruminations on the stress, right? A lot of times we feel stress, we have things that are challenging or difficult in our lives, and then we sort of get stuck in that rumination, right? It can be hard to kind of move through and think about actions and ways to resolve the stress because we're just so stuck on thinking about it, right? And ruminating on it and worrying about it. And then it just sort of builds the stress to become even worse. So this is a really cool thing that I learned from Dr. Dan Siegel. He talks about this in his Wheel of Awareness practice. I know it's a lot of other people talk about similar things. Yoga Nidra is one practice that has similar principles. So there's a lot of different strategies and tools that you can use. But I want to share with you the basic principles of how to stop sort of that thought process, that rumination loop that just magnifies the stress. And we do that through a focus on sensation. And what's really cool and interesting is that rumination process, that thought process happens in a very specific area in our brains, that midline process, our default mode network, where we are anticipating the past. We're remembering the past, anticipating the future, right? Those are really helpful, healthy things that our brain does. We need that as part of our learning process, right? As an example, today is a cold, snowy morning, and so I remember what that's like to go out into the snow in those cold days. And I anticipate how I want to deal with that as I'm taking my children to school. Do we want to walk and bundle up, or do we need to drive? How do we handle that based on what I remember about cold, snowy days? So it's a really healthy, normal process. However, we can sometimes get stuck in that loop of remembering past pain and anticipating future pain. And we just get stuck right in those thoughts that keep us up at night. We can't go to bed, we can't go to sleep, or we get stuck, right? We wake up at 3 a.m. in those ruminations. So what we do is focus on sensation. And this is a practice that you can do daily. And I recommend doing it daily just for 5 minutes because it's a muscle that you're building over time. And the more you do it, the more accessible it is to you as a resource and a tool. So by focusing on sensation, it does something very physiologically in your brain. It shifts that energy from that midline process to lateral processes in your brain. So there's a very physical shift in the neuroscience, in the neuroimaging, right, of what's happening in your brain. Focusing on sensation really physically draws that to a different place in your brain. And you're focusing on your 5 senses. What do I see? What do I hear? What do I smell? What do I taste? What do I feel? And then you can take it into what some people call your 6th sense, which is interoception. What do I notice in my body? Where am I tense? Where am I relaxed? Where is there discomfort? Where is there pain? Where is, tension, tightness, whatever, right? You're just noticing, you're focusing on sensation. And what that does, which is really interesting, not only does it activate a different area in your brain to kind of quiet those thoughts, but it also brings you back into the present, which is really powerful, right? Because the present is where you can take action. It's where you have access to what's really happening right now, right? So if I notice in my environment specific things, I can respond to those. Whereas if I'm remembering and anticipating, I really can't do anything about the future. It hasn't happened yet, but I can do something about now, right? It kind of brings you back into a place of empowerment and it stops that thought process cycle. So 5-minute practice every day of just focusing on sensation, just to build that muscle of coming out of those thoughts, which we don't want to stop entirely. Again, those are really helpful, but coming out of those thoughts, coming into sensation as a way to stop the rumination and reground in the present. Really powerful tool to stop those thoughts. Join me in the next video. Thank you again for being here. In the next video, we will go through the 3rd tip, which is to cultivate self-compassion. I'll see you there.